Well, 2 years ago, we saw Siena Iona match up for the 1998 MAAC championship here in Albany, and people are saying if the regular season standings bear out, like you said, it's going to be Siena Iona once again.
Well, you look at the standings, and you really did have a grouping. I mean, Siena was clearly the favorite in this league. Iona got its game together towards the end of the regular season. You saw Fairfield. Then look at the group you have. Marist and Niagara had tied. Manhattan in there. Ryder and Canisius as well. There is a possibility that something will change in this MAAC tournament. I don't think anybody would be shocked if Siena didn't make it and win this tournament, because there's some balance beyond number one. There's some other teams that could beat them.
Well, I'd have to say in my 10 years in the league, this has to be the most balanced tournament going in, and that's not just posturing. I'm telling you, there are 6 teams that it wouldn't surprise me if they came away on Monday with a championship.
Yeah, and I think that makes for a better tournament, because everybody, even though it's in Albany, we all know Siena's never won the MAAC tournament in Albany. So everybody feels that they can get out of here with a victory, that the Saints are not unbeatable on this floor. It's tough, but it's possible.
Okay, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll handicap the women. They are down to their final 4. Semifinal action for the ladies at the MAAC tournament. Coming up next on the MAAC Television Network. And back in Albany, early morning basketball coming up in just a few minutes. The 2000 MAAC tournament. We are on Super Saturday. Doug Sherman, Howard Simon. Now it's time to talk about the ladies and down to the Final 4, the semifinals. And Howard, we have some familiar faces here this year.
Yeah, we talked about balance and different things with the men. Same old story with the women, really. You can almost count on the fact that Fairfield, St. Peter's, and Loyola will be here. Now, surprisingly, Loyola, well, not surprisingly, finishing 6th. They graduated 4 seniors off of last year's team, but they are here. Fairfield, their first outright regular season championship in a few years for Diane Nolan. St. Peter's is always here. Niagara got bounced. As we take a look at the brackets, Niagara thought they could make a run, but Loyola knocked them off to get to this point. Loyola's been in the semifinals 8 straight years now, Doug, and St. Peter's, might as well just give them a bye from now on, because they've been in the semis 10 straight years. Siena, close game with Ryder, pulling it out late last night, and Fairfield just annihilated Canisius. They're on a serious roll.
Well, the Stags and the Peahens, clearly the favorites at the start of the season, and that's pretty much the way it's borne itself out. It wouldn't be a shocker if either one didn't make it to the finals, but they certainly are expected today to take care of business.
Yeah, form usually holds a little better with the women's bracket than it does with the men, and Fairfield and St. Peter's have been the class of this league. It would be a surprise if both of them don't make it. Loyola's got some tournament experience. They've been here before, as I mentioned, so it's possible, but I think people are counting on Fairfield and St. Peter's.
Meanwhile, the Cinderella slipper is on the home team, Siena Saints. They weren't supposed to make the semis, but they're here. We'll take a break, and when we come back, Tony Resch will join us on the MAAC Television Network.
Welcome to the Pepsi Arena in Albany, New York. It is the 2000 men and women's MAAC basketball tournaments. We are in women's semifinal action. Game number 1 of 6 today here from Albany. I'm Howard Simon, working alongside Tony Resch today, and Doug Sherman will join us again in just a few moments. Let's take a look at Loyola and St. Peter's, and we'll show you the brackets and what has happened so far. Loyola has pulled off the only upset of the tournament so far, men or women, beating Niagara to get to the semifinals. St. Peter's over Manhattan in a rather easy fashion. Siena, somewhat of an underdog in the 5th seed role, and Fairfield, the top seed, rolling past Canisius to get to this point as well. Now, Tony, you look at this first game, Loyola and St. Peter's, and we see some similarities between these teams. They really thrive on the defensive end of the court.
Well, they really do. They match up extremely well together, but the thing is you're looking at the number 1 and the number 2 teams in the conference with defense.
Well, we're going to look at a couple of key players. We'll start with the Greyhounds, the 6th seed, and a senior, Jennifer Bongard.
Well, Jennifer Bongard has come off of a great offensive game yesterday versus Niagara. 23 points, 7 rebounds, 3 for 3 from the three-point line, and 8 for 8 from the free throw line.
On the other hand, you look at St. Peter's, and they are really balanced when it comes to scoring, but when push comes to shove, odds are they will turn to senior LaWanda Green.
Well, LaWanda Green is their money player. She's first team all-conference. Not only is she leading the team with 13 points, but the thing is she has scored in double figures in the last 13 out of 15 games.
Well, and we think this will be a pretty close game. Their regular season meetings were, so the keys to the game will be rather important. They're brought to you by Citizens Communications.
Well, Loyola is definitely going to have to limit their turnovers. St. Peter's had 24 points off of turnovers yesterday. They need to control the tempo as well as keep St. Peter's off the boards. And with St. Peter's, they need to make sure that they push the ball up the floor, but be patient in their half-court set and use their experience. They need to play smart.
Well, again, St. Peter's has the experience edge. There are 6 freshmen in the rotation for Loyola. A couple of them are starting. But some of the Greyhounds have been here before. In fact, this is a rematch of the 1998 semifinal played here in Albany. Loyola and St. Peter's. We'll see who will come out on top. St. Peter's is the favored team, but Loyola's feeling pretty confident. We'll get you the starting lineups and have the opening tip in a moment on the MAAC Television Network.
This game is brought to you in part by the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of cola. HSBC, your world of financial services. Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Budget, get out of the ordinary with Budget. Mazda, get in, be moved. And by the New York Lottery. New York Lotto, will you be ready if it happens to you?
Welcome back to the Pepsi Arena in Albany, New York. Women's semifinal number 1 about to get started. Loyola and St. Peter's. We'll check out the starting lineups. The Loyola Greyhounds are the 6th seed, the backcourt of Shannon Cohen and Chantry Smith. Jennifer Mitchell, one of the freshmen, starting. Jennifer Bongard, who we talked about, and Erica Rath round out their starting 5. For the St. Peter's Peahens at 20-7 and 14-4, Nicole Dames and Yolanda Daniels in the backcourt. Lawanda Green, Felicia Harris, and Mercy Aghetto up front. As far as coaches, he is a legend at St. Peter's, Mike Grinelli, as in his 30th year of coaching and has won 7 MAAC tournament titles. On the other side, Cindy Anderson, who is in her 2nd season with Loyola, took the team to the semis last season, is now looking for her 1st tournament title as a head coach with the Greyhounds. It is an interesting coaching matchup and an interesting playing matchup as well, as we are just moments away from tip. And Mike Grinelli was feeling pretty good this morning, Tony, when we talked to him. He should. This team has always found a way to get it done in tournament time.
Well, the thing is we've got such history that he has. He's been with the program for so long, and he's a legend, and success breeds success, and that's one of the things that you and I were talking about a little bit earlier, in that it seems as though the rich get richer in this game, and in his situation it does. He has great players that come in and year out, and it's been indicative of their success.
Now you saw the numbers, over 500 wins. That is an amazing accomplishment, and he's done it all at St. Peter's.
Well, I was just going to say, he's one of 4 coaches in the country that has done that at the same school.
We are ready for women's semifinal number 1. It'll be St. Peter's, the higher seed, in the home white trimmed in blue, moving right to left, and Loyola, the 6th seed, in the road greens trimmed in black and white. And Loyola opens in a man-to-man, and quickly to the baseline, Lawanda Green leaves it hard off the glass. Aghetto is going to get a lot of rebounds today, and Green with the putback.
Well, Green does a nice job, one, of sliding through and splitting the 2 defenders, but also keeping the ball alive.
And we're going to see St. Peter's use some pressure today, although that one doesn't pay off, as Nicole Dames is called for the early foul.
Well, Nicole is very aggressive, and she's so quick, but the thing about her is she's such a steady player. She runs the floor extremely well. She controls that whole offense.
And she gives the heart and soul on and off the court. A lot of times you're going to find that with the point guard, and that's certainly the case with St. Peter's. That's Jennifer Bongard. As Tony mentioned, she had a big game in their upset victory over Niagara with the 23 points and 7 boards. And she's one of the seniors out there that they will rely on. She's been in this tournament before, knows what you have to do to get it done and get to the final on Sunday. Chantry Smith buries the jump shot.
Smith just took her time on that shot right there from the elbow. Nice release on that jumper.
Good young talented player, a freshman from Chesterfield, Virginia, who moved into the starting lineup in late December when Cindy Anderson put a couple of freshmen into the starting lineup, and it really made a difference for this team. Jennifer Mitchell is the other one. They work it down inside, a little jump shot off the back of the rim, no good. And we have a foul on the rebound.
Well, Loyola is sitting back in this zone, going to outside shooting just a little bit. Peters is going to have to make sure that they move the ball and look to attack that defense. Look to attack that zone.
After the miss, Felicia Harris with the foul. Shannon Cohen, point guard for Loyola. Understudy for a couple of years. This is Corey Hewitt. This is her first year as a full-time starter. She was a junior. Shot is no good. Mercy Aghetto. Some rebounding games of 20+ this season. Grabs the board for St. Peter's.
Well, she's averaging double figures in rebounds as well. She a little bit of everywhere on the board.
Right elbow jumper. Right elbow jumper. Around and out. Grabs another board. So that's her third early on. And it was one key Cindy Anderson talked about. Tony was defensive rebounding, not giving St. Peter's second and third chances because they do a good job offensively on putbacks.
Well, they had 24 points yesterday off of offensive putbacks.
Tough shot for LaWanda Green with some pretty good defense, and she gets the leaner.
Loyola is playing pretty good defense. They have to make sure that they go straight up because St. Peter's is making and creating moves to the basket, so you have to make sure you move with them as well as go straight up.
Greyhounds working back on offense. There eventually we'll tell you about Erica Rath, number 33 for Loyola, one of the better post players. She's got it right here. Cross-court Cohen. Can't bury the jumper. Mitchell keeps it alive, and Agueto gets the block and knocks it out of bounds.
Mitchell doing a good job of following the shot, trying to keep the ball alive. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to come down with the rebound, but the possession still remains with Loyola.
Here you saw Jennifer Mitchell, freshman from Owings, Maryland. On the far baseline, Bongard can't get the jumper, but she has outside range. I mean, she can play inside. She can also take her game to the medium range and hit threes as well.
Well, that's exactly right. 3 for 3 yesterday from that three-point line as well. 8 for 8 from the free throw line. So, and she was kind of in a zone offensively yesterday.
Foul off the ball on the Greyhounds of Loyola. It's been kind of an up and down season for them. As we showed you the record earlier, 11 and 16 through the regular season. That last foul on Jennifer Bongard, a tri-captain for this club, a senior out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dames bounce pass far side to Green. Transfer from Ohio State. You know a little bit about that program since you played there.
I saw LaWanda play a couple of times.
Dames pushed off the ball. Green, three. It leaves it short. And the Greyhounds have the rebound. You see Dames right on the ball right away. She's going to be pressuring Cohen. I think we're going to see that matchup throughout the course of the morning.
Well, and with Loyola sitting back in that zone, that's what they want, is to be able to keep St. Peter's at one opportunity and out.
Rath and Cohen. Rath and Cohen playing catch here. Agueto's doing a good job of trying to push Rath away and gets the block and then sends it to the St. Peter's bench. Boy, that's quite a battle underneath, and Mercy Agueto standing her ground strong in the paint there.
Well, she's such a great athlete. She moves so well in the post, and that's one of the things sometimes when it gets real physical inside, there's a lot of contact that goes on, but she releases the contact and gets around on the pass.
At Thursday's awards dinner this past week, she was named second-team All-MAAC. What a move to the lane by Cohen. They set a nice screen on Dames, and Cohen had an easy basket.
Well, there's a little scissor there by Loyola, and Cohen with a good, strong move to the basket. She got that little handoff and went strong to the bucket.
Dames to Daniels. The pull up for the jumper. That's Mitchell with the rebound. One thing we'll see over the course of the game probably is Loyola easing off of Nicole Dames. She is the point guard. She does a very good job in terms of running the offense, but a lot of teams lay off of her, not figuring that she's going to be able to contribute offensively. Dames trying to play defense. They work it in down low. Rath kicks it out. Left elbow jumper, and Cohen buries it.
Well, that's very good in and out passing by Loyola. They're doing a great job of working that inside as well as outside. And Cohen doing a good job reading that there was the double down inside, and she pulled up for that jumper. She's going to need to do that.
So Loyola has a 6-4 lead early on. Daniels in front of the Greyhounds bench. Harris, Daniels, Dames, and she will try the shot foul line. Can't get it to fall. Another chance for the Peahens, who've done a pretty good job early on the offensive boards. Green in the corner. Agueto. Nice passing as they work it to Dames. Daniels. Long-range jumpers will say she was on the line. They will say she had a foot on the line, so scored a two-pointer. Her first bucket, Yolanda Daniels.
Well, that's where Dames is so dangerous because she can penetrate the gaps and then she kicks it back out. But I know Mike Grinelli has talked about it and that teams have been playing off of her, so she's going to have to look to step up just a little bit more to take that shot, be a little bit more of an offensive threat.
Look at Cohen taking it all the way and can't get the layup to fall, but Shannon Cohen with an aggressive start on the Loyola offense in this ballgame. Green the other way. Dames has had 3 games this season where she had 8 assists. She averages 3 a game. Green with a nice drive down the lane. Can't get it to fall. Got a piece of it inside, and Bongard grabs the rebound. Let's check some numbers early on as far as how these teams are shooting. They're not two of the better shooting teams in the MAAC, I'll tell you that, and that's reflected early on. 3 of 9 for Loyola, 3 of 11 for St. Peter's. These teams, as we touched on it, they make a living on defense. And they are 1 and 2, just barely separated, both giving up about an average of 61 points a game. Bongard doubled, and they'll call it for steps. Dames reaching in, creating a problem for Bongard, and we have a break in women's semifinal number 1. Early on, it's St. Peter's and Loyola tied at 6. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. Loyola and St. Peter's tied at 6 early on. Women's semifinal number 1 here in Albany. And by the way, here in Albany, HSBC is proud to sponsor the HSBC Family Section. Tickets and programs for today's game were provided by HSBC, your world of financial services. Well, you wonder, Tony, I mean, neither coach felt that their team was going to have jitters, but you wonder if there's the feeling out process. It is a women's semifinal game, and early on, if the teams are trying to get a feel on each other and see just kind of get into a comfort zone here.
Well, the thing about it is you have St. Peter's, who has been here before, and they want to win. With Loyola, and the fact is the pressure's on because they, are defending champions in the conference. Now, Loyola, on the other hand, they want to be there. They have a little bit of inexperience, as well as they now have Cindy Anderson, who's really going into her first year. Even though she stepped into the situation last year, she's pretty much into her first season.
Well, Green has a good start early on for St. Peter's with 6 points. The Peahens have had some slow starts offensively this season. Mike Grinelli talking about that yesterday. Now, they started very well in the quarterfinal win over Manhattan, and LaWanda Green is on her game early on. She has 6 of the St. Peter's 8 points.
Well, that's why Coach Grinelli calls her the money player when they need her to step up, and she's doing a great job today.
Rath inside against Aghetto. She can't get it to fall. Aghetto gets the rebound, and we have a foul off the ball. Actually, I think it may have called that one on Erica Rath. It will be on Rath. We'll check out, again, look at the work Aghetto is doing defensively as Rath tries to get around her. And then Mercy does what Mercy does best, grab the rebound.
Well, she does such a good job of getting that inside position to be able to come down with the rebound.
Mercy Aghetto's going to get a break. You see Leah Cromer has come into the game for St. Peter's. She is a junior from Queens, New York, and was the MVP of the 1999 MAAC tournament in Buffalo. As Tony mentioned, St. Peter's winning that one. Peahens turn the ball over. St. Peter's beating Siena in an amazing final game played last year in Buffalo, right down to the end. And we'll see Siena later in the second semifinal against Fairfield. They, like Loyola, Siena lost 4 starters off of the team to graduation. And Gina Castelli has been back in the semis. Mitchell, the freshman, cans the right elbow jumper.
Well, Mitchell came hard up the lane, and right there at the elbow, she did a good job of squaring up.
That's the game at 8. She came off the bench the first 7 games of the season, and then eventually went into the starting lineup December 22nd against Seton Hall, and she hasn't come out since. Green, nice back pass into the lane. It's knocked around, and Loyola comes out of the pack. Shannon Cohen doing the dirty work in the paint, and she'll start the break up court. Shanchi Smith struggled in terms of shooting against Niagara yesterday, just 2 of 10 from the floor, but she's a pretty exciting player, and she's going to make some noise, I think, in the MAAC before her career is all said and done. Cohen with the jumper on the baseline, no good. Offensive board for Bongard. She leaves it far side.
Bongard in position for the offensive board, just wasn't quite able to get the angle on that putback.
Well, St. Peter's will run off misses, not really off makes, but off misses they'll look to push the ball up court. Nothing was there, so they reset it. Green looking for help. Daniels, what a story she's been, coming off of not 1 but 2 shoulder surgeries the last 2 years. Dames on the drive, draws the foul from Jennifer Mitchell.
Both teams doing a very good job of taking care of the ball. In their half-court set, you can see Dames right there on the penetration. She's looking to take Rath to the basket. She's able to put herself right there on the line. And that's what she's going to have to do. We've talked about it. Not so much of an offensive threat from the outside, but she can look to penetrate. When she penetrates, you have to play her honestly because she can look to take the ball all the way to the basket. Or the other thing is she'll kick it back out.
Beth Dickinson checks in from St. Peter's, a freshman from Milltown, New Jersey, and she has provided a lot of offense and certainly a lot of energy for Mike Grinelli. Plays with a lot of reckless abandon. Second shot is in for Nicole Dames. We'll take a break with 11:41 left in the first half. St. Peter's 10, Loyola 8. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. The MAAC will pair up with the NCAA to host future NCAA championship events. One is coming up very soon in Buffalo at Marine Midland Arena, the 2000 NCAA basketball tournament sub-regionals. Buffalo was the first region to sell out their part of the tournament. 2000 NCAA cross country at Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx. The 2002 wrestling championships here at the Pepsi Arena. Pepsi Arena will host Sweet 16 games in 2003 with the NCAA tournament. And the Frozen Four, the championships of men's Division I ice hockey, will be in Buffalo at Marine Midland Arena in 2003. Look at the second chance points. That was one of the most important keys. Cindy Anderson said we got to block out because St. Peter's does so much on offensive rebounds, 8-2 on second chance points.
Well, they do have 5 offensive rebounds right now, so they're going to have to make sure that they keep them off the boards. In their previous matchups, in terms of rebounding, they've been fairly even, about 1 rebound apart from each other.
Leah Cromer tried to get the strip on that last play, but stepped on the out-of-bounds line. Erica Rath to put it in play. Third team All-MAAC when the awards came out the other night, and they foul on the inbounds to Shannon Cohen. As we take a good look at Felicia Harris, the sophomore from Red Bank, New Jersey, who has moved to a full-time starter's role in her second year with the program down in Jersey City.
Howard, back to the rebounding of St. Peter's. They're actually out-rebounding their opponents by 8 every game.
Yeah, they have the second-best rebounding margin in the league. Fairfield is number 1, due in large part to Gail Strumpf, who is the MAAC Player of the Year and averages a double-double. Mitchell, Smith, Dickinson on her defensively. Mitchell looking inside. Sharika Wilson is in the game for Loyola as well off that last break. Rath pops out, can't bury the jumper. Look at Mitchell go hard to the boards. Nobody blocked her on the charge down the paint, and it'll stay Loyola basketball. She came in from the perimeter and grabbed that rebound.
Well, to start off, you have Rath up at the top of the elbow right there. She pulls up for that jumper. She's very capable of knocking that down, but Mitchell flying in to come down with the rebound. Unfortunately, she's not able to get the shot to fall.
Jennifer Mitchell averages 3 rebounds a game to go with her 6 points. Inbounds pass comes to Mitchell. Cohen on the far side in front of the St. Peter's bench. Directing traffic. The junior from Timonium, Maryland, is a tri-captain for this game. There you see Wilson, who just checked into the game. Looking inside for Rath. Agueto is back in, and they're having a battle again down low. 10 on the shot clock. Cohen. Nice dish to Wilson, who puts it up and in.
Well, that's why she's averaging 4 assists a game. She sees the floor so well. It was a nice little dump off to Wilson there, and Wilson with a good strong move to the basket.
Mike Grinelli was a little concerned about the inside game for Loyola. St. Peter's not the biggest team in the world when it comes to interior defense, and you got Wilson, you got Rath, you've got Bongard. So he was a little worried about that before the game, and Wilson able to go on that last possession inside and get the basket. We have a foul by the Greyhounds on the St. Peter's possession.
Well, Loyola plays very strong inside. Their post players have a nice size to them, a nice presence, and they're very strong inside, and they hold their ground extremely well.
Sharika Wilson, her first foul, 4th team foul. Dickinson cans the shot on the baseline, her first points of the game.
Well, Dickinson makes that mismatch hurt because nobody matched up on her. Cohen, seeing her at the last minute, runs out on her, but she had too much time to get the shot off.
She averaged 8 points this season. As a freshman coming off the bench, averaged 19 minutes. And that's a lot in a program like St. Peter's for a freshman to come in and have that kind of an impact. We have a foul on this possession. It'll be going against St. Peter's. Loyola will maintain it. Neither team over the limit yet. That is a foul on Leah Cromer, her first. You see Mike Grinelli, who started out as a soccer coach at St. Peter's and was a full-time teacher and eventually got into the women's basketball program and has had an amazing amount of success. Smith inside, can't get it to fall. Cromer grabs the rebound. That's Courtney Wicks all the way to the basket, and she gets the scoop.
Well, Wicks takes it coast to coast. Nobody stopped her. That's one of the things. You have to stop the ball in the full court, and nobody stopped it. She did a great job at taking it all the way to the hole.
Courtney Wicks, the junior from Wayne, New Jersey. You talk about another person that is energy personified, and that's Wicks. Offensively and defensively, she really brings a charge to this team. As we just saw, she likes to get this team into the fast break mode, and she'll really help on the pressure defensive end as well. Well, Leah Cromer picks up a quick second personal foul. with 9:17 to go in the first half. Jennifer Bongard checks back in for Loyola. Erica Rath will take a break. In addition to All-MAC, we should tell you that Erica Rath was academic All-MAC for a second straight year. And St. Peter's, I think, put 4 girls on the academic All-MAC team. Bongard loses her footing, and they'll turn the ball over to the Peahens.
Well, good defense there by St. Peter's as they jumped off and hedged off that screen. A little bit of a switch there in that rotation and kind of caught Bongard just off guard a little bit, and she wasn't able to keep her balance as she went to go up for the shot.
Cromer sits down with the 2 fouls, and you saw Anna Bartol, number 20 for St. Peter's, a freshman from Sweden. That's a good recruiting trip. And Loyola's got a player from Hawaii. I love these recruiting trips.
I was going to say, I wonder who got the responsibility of going on those trips.
That's where the head coach steps into the assistant and says, you know what, I'll take care of this one. You don't have to do the legwork for me. Jennifer Mitchell's going to get a break. You see Laura Slater checking in, number 21 in green, a sophomore from Vienna, Virginia. Both of these teams will get into their bench. Obviously, they do like to use a rotation, and they can easily go 3 or 4 deep.
Well, there's a lot to say for using your bench, and especially now as you get into tournament time, you need to use it. You need to have that depth.
Smith with the baseline basket and the foul. Talked briefly about Smith earlier. Here's a player who I think, again, in this league, Tony, should be pretty exciting. She's got pretty good speed, quickness. She's got the ability to really slash to the basket. Look at the opening she gets, and off she goes.
Well, if you take a look, she had a great swing-through move, good, strong step, a very quick step to be able to seal the defender as she went strong along the baseline.
69% foul shooter, and she finishes off the old-fashioned three-point play. 5 points for Chantrese Smith. Mike Rinelli's team is up 14-13. Always coaching, always working on the bench. He is trying to get St. Peter's to the MAAC Tournament Championship game for an 11th time in the 19-year history of this league. Green almost lost the dribble. Cohen all over her. She needs some help. Bounce pass back to Wicks. Daniels on the far side. Nothing inside. Wicks. And Green. 5 on the shot clock. Green pops a 3 and hits it. And she's excited about that one. She turns around and pumps her arm up in the air.
Well, she wants this game. In the press conference yesterday, she was just talking about where they want to be, and they want it very badly.
Inside, Wilson blocked by Aghetto. Wilson again can't get that one to fall. They chase it down, and Slater comes out. Fresh shot clock for Loyola. Well, Aghetto early on has been a pretty strong presence down low as she took care of that last shot, the first shot attempt by Sharika Wilson. Cohen, Bongard. Nice little move, can't get the left-handed shot to fall. Wicks trying to push it the other way.
Well, for St. Peter's, you know, this is exactly what they want. They need their upperclassmen, their returners, their experience to step up and play, and that's exactly what's happening right now. LaWanda Green is doing it from the offensive end. Just a little miscommunication right there. She went to dump it off to Aghetto, but Aghetto, great presence inside. Well,
LaWanda Green hit a 3 moments ago, and she's got 9 points. She leads St. Peter's. They're up by 4, and she's excited about this on the MAAC Television Network.
What are you looking for in a college? Cutting-edge academic programs, a faculty that's second to none, great recreational opportunities and residence halls? How about a college that will provide you with the education you need to become a leader in your profession and in your community? If that's what you're looking for in a college, you'll find it at Canisius. To learn more about Canisius College, call 1-800-843-1517 or visit us on the web at canisius.edu. Canisius College, where leaders are made.
This week's Did You Know feature is brought to you by Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Did you know 1989 was the last year the MAAC sent 2 women's basketball teams to the NCAA tournament? Well, St. Peter's was the rep last year. Now, the MAAC did send 2 teams to postseason last year. St. Peter's went to the NCAA. Siena went to the women's NIT, where they won a game and eventually lost in the second round. We'll see who will go to the NCAA this year. It is St. Peter's up on top. We look at the shooting. 43% for the Peahens, 28% for Loyola. You see the rebounds in the Peahens' edge as well. Big long pass to Smith. All the way to the basket she goes for a quick 2. And St. Peter's gets caught defensively.
Well, Smith really set that up. She did such a good job of coming up in a little decoy situation and then went strong. Nice pass as well.
Loyola showing a zone now. A little 2-3. Daniels on the wing. This is Wicks. Trying to go right into the seam of it, and what a nice job by Courtney Wicks.
Well, she did a good job of splitting the defenders right there, right at the free throw line.
Cohen, a little trouble in the backcourt. Bongard will bring it up. Slater out to Bongard. They move it to the near side, and Smith, Aghetto fronting Wilson down in the post. They're looking to try and get it inside. Bongard flips to Cohen on the baseline, and it is blocked. And with the rebound attempt, we have traveling. So St. Peter's again with the presence inside. This time Anna Bartold got a piece of that shot, and the Peahens get the ball back.
You see Cohen making the penetration baseline, but great help side defense. She comes over, looks to get the block on that. It's Cohen not really having anywhere to go because that help side defense. Good job.
Well, and again, the post game, whether it's Rath and Bongard, in this case now Bongard and Mitchell, St. Peter's has done a pretty good job on their interior defense and is forcing Loyola to kick that ball back out to the perimeter. Dames with 5 on the shot clock, and she gets called for a double dribble. She doesn't believe it. As you see, a good look at Nicole Dames. What, me?
She's such a great player. So, you know, very conscientious about her play, and you can just see it right there, just directing her team, and that's exactly what you need from your point guard.
Strong high school player as well. Down in the Bronx at A. Philip Randolph High School. She was the PSAL Player of the Year and All-State in Class A before moving over to Jersey City to play for the Peahens. They're up 4 as they work it down to Bongard. Double, they got a piece of that one too. And Aghetto grabs the board. Dames to Daniels. Dames and Daniels play catch. A little screen by Aghetto. Pick and roll, and Aghetto finally grabs it and puts it up and in, and the foul. Oh, not the prettiest pick and roll, but the end result worked.
Well, it worked. I know Cindy Anderson's trying to get a call for a travel, but the call was the foul. You can see right there, great penetration by Daniels as she goes to dump it off to Aghetto. Aghetto doing a good job of hanging on to the ball. You can see right there, another real good look, good contest. Unfortunately, Loyola fouls, but they tried to get the contest on that shot.
So Aghetto finishes off the three-point play. Second team All-MAAC for her this season. And it's the largest lead of the game for the Peahens at 7. And this is a key now, final 5:20 of this first half. If you're Cindy Anderson, you've been hanging around this half. You don't want to let it get away in the last few minutes here. And St. Peter's off the miss running. Daniel, Aghetto quickly down court. They get it to her. Off the glass, no good. Rebound Slater cradles it for the Greyhounds.
Well, Aghetto not able to get that ball to fall, but very good defense by Wilson by going straight up. This is a good matchup between these two.
Well, you see, by the way, Aghetto has her right hand, it's actually the pinky finger on her right hand taped up. Smith with the shot, around and out. Rebound picked up by Bartold. She banged it against the backboard recently, going for a rebound. And it's almost 100%, but she still got a tape. We were kidding with Mike Riddell. I said, hey, is that going to impact her shot? And he kind of joked, said she doesn't have a shot. But she hit a layup underneath a moment ago. But she's certainly known for her rebounding work. She leads the team in that. Another turnover by St. Peter's. This time it's Yolanda Daniels getting called for traveling.
Well, I was just going to say, she may not be such an offensive threat inside, but boy, can she rebound.
And a little break for Bartold. Christy Carbone, 31 for St. Peter's, checks in, the junior from South Windsor, Connecticut. You know, and a lot of her offense will come from the putbacks. She's not supposed to be at the foul line taking jumpers. She's supposed to get the rebound and put it back up and in.
She knows her role, and she knows what she's capable of doing. And, you know, with St. Peter's, they work around that extremely well.
Very intelligent woman. As we mentioned, she made academic All-MAAC. Mike was telling us about how she interned for Brooks Brothers last summer, and she's ready to graduate soon from graduate school. Slater has the opening, goes all the way to the hoop, and pulls Loyola within 5.
Well, Slater taking advantage of no help side defense and also nobody picking her up.
Now Slater playing Dion Daniels. Dames, quick pass to Carbone. Dickinson's 3, and she's got a couple of those in the game today. Well, Beth Dickinson, the MAAC Rookie of the Week in early January when she averaged 11 points a game, makes it a 25-17 game for the Peahens. Peahens swept the season series but it was close. In fact, the game in Baltimore, as you see the three-point field goals, none for Loyola yet. The game in Baltimore went right down to the buzzer. They try a three there. Bongard can't get it to fall, and Aguero grabs the board. Courtney Wicks hit a running jumper, a foul line jumper rather, as the buzzer sounded down in Baltimore for a 2-point win. And at the Yanatelli Center, it was a pretty close game. Loyola hung around for the most part and then eventually ended up losing by 7, 68-61 in the regular season finale.
Yeah, and that was just in the last couple minutes of the game, but it was a very close game up until then.
Dickinson gets fouled, the reach-in by Shannon Cohen. And we are going to take a break with 3:07 left in the first half. St. Peter's has stretched its lead to 8. You're watching the MAAC tournament on the MAAC Television Network. All right, if you're interested in doing a little traveling, maybe see some MAAC championships, maybe these folks up here from St. Peter's might want to go to see the Disney championships, MAAC championships at the Wide World of Sports down at Walt Disney World. Men's and women's golf, April 28th through the 30th. Men's and women's cross country in October, the 19th through the 22nd. If you'd like ticket information, you can call Anthony Travel at 1-800-736-6377 or check out the website, anthonytravel.com. By the way, Tony and I have volunteered to cover the championships, being the consummate workers that we are.
That's right. Somebody has to do it. We're there.
Well, you know, it's team players. That's what it's
exactly
all about.
right.
We'll go to Disney World. You saw Cindy Anderson a moment ago and trying to find some answers in this first half. Her team down 8 to St. Peter's and now having to play a little defense. This building's been kind to Loyola over the years. They were kidding Cindy Anderson about it last night after the win, about maybe moving her home games here, as the running baseline jumper is hit by Yolanda Daniels. Loyola's 12-4 in MAAC tournament games played here in Albany. All 4 times they went to the final and did it here in the Capital District. Just something about, I guess, I don't know, maybe you get a comfort feeling in certain arenas outside of your own. Of course, it helps if you're a good team. That usually makes a big difference.
Yeah, one little minor detail.
Yeah, that kind of helps, don't you figure? You have to have players and be able to win. Daniels quickly back the other way. It's a 10-point lead now as Loyola, this game may be slipping away from them. St. Peter's working it on the near wing to Dames. Daniels, she'll pop the 3, and it's an air ball.
Well, St. Peter's really is challenging Loyola's defense, especially when they're going to that 1-on-1. You've got an isolation on the backside. They've got doing a great job of taking it strong to the basket. But at the same time, Loyola, for the most part, is doing a very good job of taking care of the ball, but they're not doing so well in terms of their shooting. They're off just a little bit. They're only shooting 28% right now.
Well, Wicks a little too hard on the defensive pressure against Shannon Cohen. He was all over Cohen, and they were really trying to separate from each other, and eventually Wicks gets called for the foul, and they're over the limit, so we're going to have a free throw situation, 1-and-1 coming the other way. And as we get set for the foul shot coming up at the half, the Mazda scores, a feature on Jen O'Reilly. Stay tuned for that, and we'll take a look back at the first half highlights. Right now it's St. Peter's with the upper hand. Front end of the 1-and-1 is good. Cohen will get another. She's got 5 points. We check out Mike Grinelli, 20-plus wins, 16 of his last 21 years, 5 times the MAAC Coach of the Year. Cohen hits them both. And he had a good shot at it this year, but the Coach of the Year went to, from Fairfield, Diane Nolan, who had the regular season champ Stags. We'll see them later this afternoon in the other women's semifinal. Green directing traffic now.
It's kind of exciting to see 2 coaches like that in the conference. You have the deans of the conference there.
Yeah, Mike's won over 500 games. Diane Nolan, in her coaching career, has over 400 wins. 2 on the shot clock. Carbone's got to put it up. Leaves it short. Going back the other way. It's down to 8. They'll try and creep closer. Mitchell to the basket, draws the foul on Wicks.
Well, Loyola trying to push the ball off the floor off that missed shot. Mitchell doing a good job of getting out in front of the pack and filling her lane. So she's got a nice move there, went to seal Wicks off, was able to draw the foul.
Jill Mitchell, the freshman, to the free throw line, a 70% foul shooter, and she's really helped out the offense since she moved into the role as the starter about 9 games into the season. Leaves that one off the rim. She leads the team in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, and has picked up her game towards the end of the season, averaging about 11 points the last 10 games coming into this tournament. She'll try to make 1 out of 2, and she cannot.
Yeah, sorry, Howard. The thing is you're starting 2 freshmen. She's building for the future. That's how you build your programs. You're using your depth, you're using your bench, you're using your inexperience to gain experience and look for this team to contend in the future.
Nice dish by Wicks to Aguero. The drive by Wicks drawing the defense, and Mercy Aguero alone underneath for the easy bucket. Well, I like what you see from Courtney Wicks in terms of her ability to create. Mike talked about her aggressiveness and how she really likes to push that ball. She sees the slightest opening, Tony, and right down the lane she went.
Well, and that's just it. She's so quick, but she sees the floor very well. Very unselfish player. I'm sure when she decided to transfer from Penn State, Mike didn't question things too much.
Welcome to the program. Slater hits the baseline jumper. They called her the Flying Lion at Penn State. That's not bad. I mean, between LaWanda Green and Courtney Wicks, you got transfers from Ohio State and Penn State. Timeout is called by St. Peter's with 45 seconds left, and they lead at 29-21. Cindy Anderson and her coaching staff, probably the youngest coaching staff in the league. Cindy Anderson just turned 30, and you see Joe Logan, one of her assistants. He is 26, Carrie Holman is 27, and Susan Bryce in the light top there. She played at Loyola, and she is just 24 years old. And they'll huddle it up and try and figure out what they can do in terms of getting back into this game. Let's talk about the New York Lottery Scholar Athlete Award from Niagara University, honored Thursday night. Megan Coleman, the senior out of Susquehanna Valley High School down in Binghamton, 3.62 GPA. And she was the winner on the women's side of the New York Lottery MAAC Scholar Athlete Award. The New York Lottery will provide new computers to Brookside Elementary School in Binghamton, where Megan went on behalf of her. The award is based on GPA, community participation, and good sportsmanship. The New York Lottery, supporting education since 1967, saluting Megan Coleman for her achievement. Here, Mike Rinelli at work. Now we talked to him, mentioned it's his 28th year. He's not coaching soccer anymore. I don't think he's full-time teaching anymore either. We said, well, looks like you're still having fun coaching. He said, well, I'm not a lifer. I'm not going to stay in this forever. There will be a time when I will get out of it, but I think he's still enjoying everything. And he said this is really a fun team for him to coach.
Well, when you have great chemistry and you have good kids, it just makes it so much more enjoyable, and that's what keeps the coaches in it. When you don't quite have that chemistry and things quite aren't clicking as well as they would like, it makes it for a very difficult season and profession to be in.
Wicks with 6 points now makes it back, puts it back to a 10-point lead, 31-21. Well, they can't hold for one shot, about a 3-second differential. Slater pops it there. Now St. Peter's can hold for one. I don't know if Courtney Wicks believes in holding for one. She just wants to get that ball up court and go.
Although she's a smart player. Good decision there to back it out.
Green has had a big first half. Down the lane she goes. Leaves that one a little wild. Aguero with the rebound, leaves it short. Carbone fights for it, and we'll have a jump ball with 0.9 seconds left, and the arrow will favor the Greyhounds. It's time for the prayer, the big three-quarter or half-court heave coming up, maybe. Let's see how far they can throw it in bounds. Rath cannot get that one to go, and the first half is in the record books. Closed for the first half of the first half, and then St. Peter's eventually opened it up a little bit, and they equal their largest lead with the lead they'll take into the break. 31-21, St. Peter's leads Loyola in women's semifinal action. You're watching the MAAC Television Network.
450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. This success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a changing world.
Welcome back to Pepsi Arena in Albany. We are at halftime of the first women's semifinal game in the 2000 MAAC basketball tournament. Howard Simon along with Tony Resch. Doug Sherman's going to be joining us as well. St. Peter's, the higher seed, in control right now, Tony, at 31-21. Now, we're going to take a look at the standings and show you what happened in the MAAC this season as far as women's competition was concerned. And the Citizens Communications MAAC standings look like this. Fairfield finishing at 15-3. We'll see them later. And St. Peter's Niagara had a pretty good season, ending up with the 3rd seed, but then bumped off by Loyola. And then you had the pack with Ryder and Siena. Siena, they played an exciting game last night. Loyola, as we see, their lowest seed since 1992, and then Manhattan, Iona, Canisius, and Marist. And Tony, we saw some good games yesterday, and we talked about that Siena-Ryder game. That was close for about 35 minutes. As we take a look at what happened, St. Peter's with the 18-point win over Manhattan. Loyola, that was a pretty good game with Niagara. Loyola was down in that game, came back in the second half, made a big run to win, and then Fairfield put on an impressive display in beating Canisius.
Well, they really did. They handled things fairly well. But the big game, I thought, was Siena and Ryder. What a great game. Really, for the most part, came down to the last couple minutes of the game. And also, as well, Loyola and Niagara, a little bit of an upset there. But Niagara sitting in 3rd in the conference there in the regular season. So it was just very well played. Great games yesterday.
And Canisius and Ryder advancing on the men's side. We'll see them later in men's quarterfinal action. We'll continue our halftime activities in Albany in a moment on the MAAC Television Network.
I know most of you just graduated high school last year, or maybe you've been working for a while, seen some things, done some things, but nothing has prepared you for what's going to happen now. We're going to set goals for each of you, way up here, way up here, and then we're going to help you exceed them, believe it. And when finished, you're going to have not just a degree, you'll be a different person, a better person. Welcome to Iona.
Aspire, achieve. Iona. Call Iona College at 1-800-231-IONA.
This game is brought to you in part by Mazda. Get in, be moved. The New York Lottery. New York Lotto. Will you be ready if it happens to you? Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything. Bob's Stores, great buys on brand you wear. And by smallworld.com, the largest independent developer of online fantasy sports games.
We are at the Pepsi Arena in Albany, New York. It is halftime of the first women's semifinal game. The higher-seeded St. Peter's Peahen, 2nd seed, leading 6th seed Loyola 31-21. By the way, the Greyhounds just 2-13 this season when they have trailed at the half. St. Peter's trying to get back to the MAAC tournament game, title game for an 11th time. Hey, junior swimmer Jen O'Reilly is making waves for the Ryder Bronx. O'Reilly is breaking Ryder and MAAC records. Let's take a look.
The Ryder University women's swim team is in the midst of their best season in school history. Much of their success can be attributed to the dynamic record-setting performances of junior Jennifer O'Reilly. And as it turns out, her extraordinary abilities extend far beyond the swimming pool. During her career at Ryder, freestyler and relay competitor Jen O'Reilly has broken 7 all-time school records, 4 records at Ryder's Coppola Pool, and 3 Mid-Atlantic Athletic Conference records. And believe it or not, this young woman who has amassed 12 gold medals in MAAC competition was a walk-on.
I was nervous about it because I was afraid I wasn't going to make the team. I didn't know how fast people on the team were. I was really nervous about it, but it turned out to be a good thing.
It became readily apparent in the first few practices that she had a good feel for the water, a good work ethic, and some talent. I think the first time she competed was actually our inter-squad meet where she broke the inter-squad record in the 100 free and then broke a pool record in their very first dual meet against Fairfield and St. Peter's, and the rest is history.
Although Jen had a passion for swimming, academics and proximity to her Aberdeen, Maryland home is what brought her to Ryder. Jen is a marine sciences major who has a solid 4.0 GPA. Her academic success has earned her the distinction of being an Andrew J. Ryder Scholar, the highest academic award given at the university. She's a scholar, she's an athlete. How does she do it all?
I think I can do it because I enjoy everything that I do, so it makes it easier and I look forward to doing it. But I basically take everything one day at a time, just set my priorities straight and just do what I have to do.
And her determination in the pool is unparalleled.
She's a tough competitor. She hates to lose, although she handles that well. She always is trying to make herself better in practice, which is always a rehearsal for competition anyway.
The Ryder women's team has won 12 of their 14 regular season contests, including all 7 conference matchups. And with the motivation of their coach, they hope to be a factor at this year's championship meets.
I think what I try to do is keep raising the bar or raising the standard of performance for them to try and reach. I'm not usually satisfied until the season is over. I think what I try to do is set the program so that the athletes remain hungry, I think it helps them focus on things not just in swimming, but what they do in life. And we want to always present them with new opportunities, new challenges, and hope that they keep striving for more.
At the time of the interview, Jen had not lost a race in MAAC competition since she started swimming for the Bronx, which is something she would love to be able to say at the end of her career. And although Coach Gordon knows that feat would be a tremendous achievement for both Jen and his program, he simply wants her to graduate with a sense of satisfaction.
I want her to look back actually at her college experience the same as everybody else, that I got a good education, I was part of a good team environment that was successful, and I had a total collegiate experience.
O'Reilly was named Riders Athlete of the Year after both her freshman and sophomore seasons. And according to her coach, that accomplishment, coupled with her 4.0 GPA, makes Jennifer the total package. At Rider University, Mary Beth Petriella.
Halftime here in Albany. St. Peter's leads Loyola 31-21. We'll take a look at the first half highlights when we return on the MAAC Television Network. Welcome back to Albany in the Pepsi Arena, the 2000 MAAC basketball tournament. Howard Simon alongside Tony Resch, Doug Sherman working with us as well. Let's check out the first half stats brought to you by Citizens Communications.
Loyola really struggling from the field today, only 29%. They've had a lot of opportunities, 9 for 31, but not able to capitalize on them, whereas St. Peter's doing a very good job, 48%. You take a look at points off of turnovers, Loyola pretty much taking care of the basketball, only 3 turnovers. The flip side of yesterday, whereas St. Peter's really capitalized on the turnovers, right now Loyola with 9 points off of turnovers.
We will take a break and come back. Still to come, the second half between Loyola and St. Peter's. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. St. Peter's up 10. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the first half of action.
Well, right here you've got a scissors by Loyola. Doing a great job going up Cohen. Good strong move inside. Nice little scissor weave there. Good handoff. Then you've got Mitchell right there at the elbow. She comes up pretty much uncontested, stops and pops. Nice job on her finish. Just take a look right there. Courtney Wicks comes down. Nobody stops the ball. She goes up on the right side of the floor. And then right here, nice ball movement, good reversal, kicking it out. Dickinson right there from the wing. Good job in knocking it down.
LaWanda Green, the leading scorer in this game, the first-team All-MAAC performer from the Bronx, has the basketball and 9 points as we get started with second half action. St. Peter's now moving left to right, and the Greyhounds in the road green are trailing 31-21, 2-13 when they trail at the half of the season. This will be a tough road to hoe for Loyola. Felicia Harris, the sophomore, the only underclassman in this starting lineup for St. Peter's. They have 4 senior starters. There's one of them, Nicole Dames, LaWanda Green, Mercia Ghetto, and Yolanda Daniels. Same starting 5 from the first half for Mike Brunelli. And quickly Loyola picks up a foul. You look at Loyola, and they've got Shannon Cohen, same starting 5. Chantrese Smith in the backcourt. Jennifer Bongard, Jennifer Mitchell, and Erica Rath on the front line.
Well, St. Peter's coming right back and looking to attack the basket again. And again, challenging the defense of Loyola. Loyola's standing a little bit flat-footed right now. Need to move their feet, get off in the lanes, look to come over for help side defense a little bit more, but what they can't do right now is afford to stand and reach.
Well, look at that. In 29 seconds, Erica Rath picks up 2 fouls in the second half. She's got 3. She goes to the bench. That's a third-team All-MAAC performer and your leading scorer, so that is the worst way Cindy Anderson wanted to see this second half start. Although they have kept her off the scoreboard, St. Peter's done a terrific job defensively against Rath and Jennifer Bongard. LaWanda Green with the drive, the basket, and the foul. LaWanda Green with a little emphasis on that one. We saw her pretty fired up when she hit the 3 in the first half, and she's really taken charge of this game for St. Peter's first half and here as well.
Well, you can see LaWanda right there putting the ball on the floor, looking to seal Cohen just to try and get that first step. If you're even with the defender, you have him beaten. She was right even with Cohen, taking it strong.
Cohen picks up her second foul. Green now with 12 points, and Loyola faces the pressure of being down 13 and the St. Peter's defense. Loyola shooting 28% from the field in the first half. And Bongard and Rath, who combined for 40 points in the quarterfinal win over Niagara, were combined 0 for 10 from the field in that first half. Interior defense has been very strong for St. Peter's. Wilson can't get that one to fall, and guess who grabbed the rebound? Mercy Aghetto. That's her 10th rebound of the game, and we're just starting the second half. Harris stops, leaves it a little hard off the glass and rim, ball out of bounds, and they'll say it was last touched by the Peahens.
Well, Aghetto not only getting the defensive board, but she comes down and tries almost get her hands on the offensive board. But, you know, you're talking about Rath and Baumgart having a little difficult time in the first half. Part of it is they're not using their legs because they're not able to get their bodies squared up. They've had good shots. They've been taking the shots from the elbow, around the perimeter as well, but they're a little off, and you can see by their shot when they're off and they're turning that body, they're pushing the ball just a little bit too much. They need to use their legs.
Now, so it's what they're doing, or I mean, how much is it what St. Peter's is doing, pushing them away from the basket too?
Well, it's a combination of the two, but the thing is those players are capable, very capable of scoring from the outside, as we had talked about Bongard being able to shoot the three-pointers. So, you know, very effective. So it is a combination of the two.
The 2000 Easton MAAC Hockey League Championship, March 16th, 18th, University of Connecticut in stores. All session passes are $10. You can call 1-877-@UConn. That's a toll-free number to go see the MAAC Hockey Championships. Jennifer Bongard finally gets on the scoreboard. First bucket of the game.
Well, and right there, her body was much more squared. She used her legs, got off the ground, and she held her follow-through.
He heads back the other way. Dames, a steady point guard, senior from the Bronx. Green on the far side, all the way to the basket. Nice dish to Aghetto, but she can't finish off the layup.
Good penetration there by LaWanda Green. She sees the floor so well, and she just slides right between the defenders.
Green led the team in scoring this season, was 10th in the MAAC. Passed down low for Wilson, and Aghetto reached in and is going to draw the foul.
Well, nice touch on that pass inside by Cohen as she really led Wilson inside.
Check that, it's on LaWanda Green. That is her first personal foul. And Leah Cromer will check in for St. Peter's. Mercy Aghetto will get a break. Nope, it is on 25, so correct that again. First on Aghetto.
No wonder LaWanda Green looked, she says, who, me?
Wait, me? I didn't touch her. Inbounds to Smith. One of two freshman starters for Cindy Anderson. Bongard, foul circle jumper, can't get that one to fall. A senior, two juniors, and two freshmen in the starting lineup for Cindy Anderson, so next season should bode well for this Loyola Greyhounds program. Green with a crossover, moves left, off the glass too hard, follows it and draws the foul. Well, LaWanda Green is having an MVP type of performance this morning.
Well, not only is she penetrating very hard, you know, Cohen has her hands full right now. LaWanda Green just, not only the experience, but just playing very headsy right now, very determined. And again, coming down with her offensive rebound, going strong. Cohen having just a little bit difficult time boxing her out.
Well, Shannon Cohen picked up her third foul, so not only are they down 11 as Loyola calls timeout, they're getting into foul trouble. Rath is on the bench with 3. Now your starting point guard goes out with 3. And Kaya Wilson checks in, a junior from Searingtown, New York. So Cindy Anderson really has her hands full now trying to figure this one out. As you look at Mike Granelli, if St. Peter's can advance, they would play for the championship on Sunday afternoon against either Fairfield or Siena. That's the other semifinal we have coming up a little bit later on. Let's talk MAAC hockey. It's getting ready for the MAAC hockey tournament, as we mentioned a moment ago, at UConn. Quinnipiac rolling as usual with a win over Bentley. Canisius has had a very strong season under head coach Brian Cavanaugh. They beat Fairfield 6-2. Holy Cross beating Mercyhurst. Sacred Heart with a victory, and Iona beat UConn. Quinnipiac has been the class. They're on top. You see Mercyhurst was knocked off yesterday, and Canisius with Connecticut rounding out the top 4. And again, everybody's headed to stores at UConn for the MAAC Hockey League tournament. Inbounds to Leah Cromer with a little reverse layup attempt, no good. And a foul on St. Peter's on the rebound. Felicia Harris was down there trying to corral the loose ball.
Well, Austin did a very good job defensively and really forced Cromer to have to go on the other side for that reverse. Cromer trying to create the angle and try to make the move, but unfortunately for her, not able to get the shot to fall.
St. Peter's up 11, keep the pressure going. As they pick them up three-quarter court. Bongard gets it into Massey's hands again. She'll run the offense now with Cohen on the bench in foul trouble. Massey all the way down low for Bongard. Inside for Wilson, off the glass and in.
Well, that was a good move by Wilson as she slid in from the backside right to the middle of the floor. Nice little drop step going towards the basket.
Sharika Wilson has played through some chronic back and knee problems and has still been able to contribute off the bench for this team and help them inside. Look at that move by Green, and she gets it to fall. Are you kidding me? Boy, Wanda Green has made some beautiful shots today. Great control on the baseline, and then with the touch. And a timeout call, having trouble getting the ball in, so they take a timeout as they are down 11. And I think LaWanda Green, I think she'll be the MVP right now at this point.
Well, she's playing with a great deal of enthusiasm.
Watch this last play. Look at this.
Nice, great little hesitation there. Went to fake the defenders out. Good hesitation coming in from the other side. And as well going up with that left hand on the reverse.
That just added to it.
Well, and then as you can see, Cromer right inside for the offensive rebound had she happened to miss that shot.
We take a good look at Cindy Anderson, who was a pretty good player in her time at St. Joe's. She was a 3-year captain, and they went to 3 NCAA tournaments when she was there. Mike Grinelli working things at the St. Peter's sideline. He has 7 MAAC tournament titles, including the one last year. Well, Loyola's shooting a little bit better. St. Peter's a little worse, but Loyola's still down 11. They're actually down 10 at halftime, so even though they're winning the shooting percentage battle early on, they're down on the scoreboard 36-25.
Well, this is where you have to take one basket at a time. You're not going to get it back all of a sudden. It's going to be opportunities like that. Good half-court offensive possessions. Wilson being strong inside, but taking their time, not turning the ball over. If nothing else, if you're not going to score from the floor, go to the line.
Well, Leah Cromer just picked up her 3rd foul on the attempted stop of Sharika Wilson. And the junior is at the line, a 61% free throw shooter. Misses one, got another one coming. Wilson really improving her offensive game towards the end of the season. She ended up averaging 6 points off the bench, a career best, 14 minutes. Cromer sits down with the 3 fouls, and Wilson will get another shot. So 1 out of 2 for Sharika Wilson. They trail by 10, 36-26. St. Peter's leads Loyola in women's semifinal action on the MAAC television network. Well, we're headed west on the thruway for the 2001 MAAC Men's and Women's Basketball Championship back from Albany to Buffalo next season. It'll be held March 1st through the 5th at Marine Midland Arena. If you'd like information, you can call 716-855-4444, extension 82. And you can find out more about MAAC basketball. Go online and check out the new conference website at www.maacsports.com. It's updated regularly, provides current information about your favorite MAAC teams and players. In fact, we were at the website this morning courtesy of Sean Brennan, the assistant commissioner, and they have something called, what was it, Total Cast?
I believe so, yeah.
Where basically if you can't get to a TV or be at a game, you could be on your computer and follow the game as if you were seated at the scorer's table. It has the play-by-plays, it has stats, it even has photos of the game. It is everything you need when you're online and can't get to a MAAC game. Again, it is all at maacsports.com. If you were online, you'd know right now that St. Peter's is up 10 over Loyola. Daniel with the long jumper, and she gets the roll. It took a while.
That one did take a while to get there, but it went in.
Well, Daniel's shot coming around, as we mentioned in the first half after shoulder surgery. She's finally getting her offensive game back. Almost took that ball away, but stepped on the out-of-bounds line. And this year, got her average up to 6 points a game. Became a full-time starter as a sophomore, had the injury problems. Now she's in her senior year out of Trenton, North Carolina, trying to close out with another MAAC title.
She almost picked herself up another steal right there. Unfortunately, she stepped on the sideline, but she did a great job anticipating the pass and sliding right up there in the passing lane.
Well, if you're going to play for Mike Brunelli, you got to work hard. And he says Yolanda Daniels is one of the hardest workers he's ever coached in his 28 years at St. Peter's. That inside attempt from Wilson doesn't fall. One and done as the Peahens go the other way, and Green leading the attack. Jump shots off the dribble, penetration. Lawanda Green has done everything today offensively for St. Peter's. Courtney Wicks has had a pretty good game off the bench as well. Good pass to Dames. Green pops out high. 8 on the shot clock. Green can't get that one to fall in traffic. And Aghetto grabs the rebound away, but then gets called for traveling.
Loyola with the inside position. They just need to come down with those loose balls. And that's what they want, is to keep St. Peter's at one opportunity and out. If they miss that shot, Green pulls up for a jump, misses a shot, come down with the rebound, secure it, so you can take the ball down the other end.
Long pass the other end, and Slater cannot catch up to it. I think they'll say it touched St. Peter's. No, okay, I thought maybe they were going to say it was off of a Loyola player, but St. Peter's will have it. And Green will put it in play. You see Lawanda Green putting it in. The lady has scored in double figures in 13 of her last 15 games, making 14 out of 16 with the 14-point effort she has right now. A pretty good MAAC tournament last year as well on the way to the title, averaging 13 points a game. Green pops that one, leaves it long. Look at Wicks trying to save it. Nope, she stepped on the end line.
Well, she got up for that one, trying to save the ball to bring it back in.
We have much more to come. In fact, we'll start with men's quarterfinal action next. Game number 1, Niagara and Marist in the 4-5 game. The Red Foxes, the 4 seed. Doug Sherman and Glenn Consor are busy preparing for that game as we speak. 6 games coming your way today from the Pepsi Arena here in Albany. 4 men's quarters and the 2 women's semifinals. Bongard in the lane draws the foul.
A good decision by Bongard to take the ball. Wings weren't getting open. She looks to take it down, back it in the lane, little reverse move, little spin. And she needs to be stepping up just a little bit more, and that's what she has to do, is go to the line. You see right there, a little spin move. She's able to draw the foul.
Wicks picks up her 3rd foul. So now Wicks, Cromer, and Harris all have 3 fouls for St. Peter's. Rath and Cohen still on the bench with 3 fouls for Loyola. Bongard leaves that one short. Jennifer Bongard has become this season the 10th player in the history of Loyola women's basketball to reach 1,000 points and 500 rebounds in her career. 1 out of 2 for her.
Well,
Bongard
she
with
definitely didn't leave that one short. She had a little bit better extension, got up on her toes a little bit more. That happens sometimes when you start to play a little tight. You start to shorten up a little bit instead of keeping your extension.
Green in front of the St. Peter's bench. Dames, Daniels on the bounce pass, and it's all net. Well, Yolanda Daniels has her shot on. It's funny, Mike Brunelli was saying, yesterday she didn't score a lot in the victory over Manhattan, but he said her shot was on. You could tell she probably would have had a 20 or 30-point game, but they never got the ball to her. And she's looked pretty good stroking the jump shot today. 40-27. Now it's a 13-point advantage for the Peahens, and Bongard gets called for traveling.
Bongard just a little hesitant to put that shot up. But right now she's playing a little tentative, and you can see it. And she knows it. She's not quite feeling it. She needs to make sure that she steps up a little bit, get that confidence back, just like she did yesterday. Yesterday she was relaxed, everything going her way. Now's not the time to question herself. Stand up, step up.
A moment ago you saw a quick shot of Beth Dickinson. Now she has the ball, just checking in the game, the freshman from New Jersey, Milltown, New Jersey. Bounce pass inside, Aghetto with the turnaround move, can't get it to fall. Offensive rebound, put back up and in by guess who? Lawanda Green.
Well, Lawanda Green just pretty much slid Slater right underneath the basket. Need to sit down and push her out of there because she's going to make sure she gets her hands on the ball.
Well, she got 16 now. We've got a little bit of a ways to go to equal her career high, which happened earlier this season, 25 against Iona. Aghetto gets called over the back with that foul, and that'll be her 2nd.
Well, Aghetto not quite able to release the contact soon enough to get around on Wilson, but give Wilson credit as she's moving up the lane. Right there, she's being real active and holding Aghetto off, and Aghetto trying to get around. But again, Wilson, good job in holding her ground.
Well, we talked about Mercy Aghetto earlier, the student athlete. She graduated in May of '99 with a degree in psychology. Now she's a grad student, and she's in the MBA program, and in good shape maybe to graduate in the summer. Slater answers back with 2 for Loyola.
Well, Slater with a good cut across the lane. Nice job on the turnaround jumper. Now Loyola trying to pick things up here a little bit. Hopefully they'll be able to, for their sake, be able to come up with a turnover. That's what they want. Or to be able to give St. Peter's a stop right here in the south half-court offense.
The Hens are up 13. Imagine, not that she does, but imagine the trash-talking Mercy Aghetto could do with a psych degree. You can really get into an opponent's head that way, huh? Aghetto back to the basket. Dickinson Pulls up with the jumper. Can't get it to fall. Rebound and put back by Green, no good. Daniels tips it. It goes out of bounds. Last touch by Loyola. So St. Peter's will maintain possession after a break. 11:47 left in the second half. St. Peter's 42, Loyola 29. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. We are at a championship event for the MAAC this weekend. Let's talk more MAAC championships, future ones coming up. Perhaps, say, the spring championships. And we'll tell you that baseball will be competed at Marist College, May 18th through the 20th. You see softball at Marist as well in early May. Lacrosse and rowing at Fairfield the end of April. Tennis at the Concord in mid-April. And golf, as we touched on earlier, the end of April at Disney's Wide World of Sports. This copyrighted telecast of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the MAAC and MAAC properties. Cindy Anderson has no more time to wait. Tony, in that break, she's brought back Shannon Cohen and Erica Rath. Foul trouble, you can't worry about it now. You're down 13 with under 12 to go.
Well, what they have to do is they need to step up just a little bit, get that confidence back. If they question themselves, they're going to continue to stand a little flat-footed, and that's going to cause them to reach, and that's what they don't want to do. Now's the opportunity for them to step up. You have 11 minutes to play. Plenty of time left in this game. Get one basket back at a time. But they need to be more aggressive offensively. But really, Howard, it starts with the defense. You know, you're standing flat-footed defensively, you're not going to get the extension on your shot. You're not going to be able to move as freely. They have to make sure that they're moving very effectively.
Chantry Smith, baseline jumper, no good. And Daniels grabs the rebound. Ticking down to 11 minutes left in the second half. Daniels to Dames. Now into the hands of LaWanda Green. Spent a couple of years at Ohio State, didn't play much, transferred back toward home, over to St. Peter's. And has been a great addition to Mike Brunelli's program. 6 on the shot clock. Daniels, Green in the corner, she'll pop the three. Off the back of the rim, Slater grabs it for the Greyhounds.
Good defensive possession there by Loyola, that's exactly what they want. Try and keep him at one opportunity and out.
Slater bounce pass inside, knocked out by Agueto. They'll try it again into Wilson. Posts up Agueto and can't get it to fall. The rebound rolls to Nicole Dames. Point guard said, you know, you folks banging there. I'm just going to hang out here outside the paint and grab the rebound.
Well, that's where she's just such a great leader. And you know, she sends everybody else down the floor and sets it up. That's what they want to do. They want to run when they have the opportunity, set it up when they don't. Maintain control.
Harris, Dames on the near wing, all the way to the basket and draws the foul. She has done a nice job, even on the last possession, where Dames took the shot and left it 2 out off the glass. She's done a great job of getting into the paint and penetrating and creating.
Well, the thing is with her size, it allows her to stay low. You can see her, she even gets a little bit lower going in there, protects the ball with her body, and is able to draw the foul.
5'2" senior guard from the Bronx has a couple of free throws coming. Nice hops as she gets that one to go. Let's check out some numbers as we watch Mike Grinelli looking pretty calm with a 14-point lead. You see the shooting percentages have changed. And now at 42 and 30, rebounds heavily in favor of St. Peter's. No surprise there. Dames hit them both, and it's a 15-point advantage now. Now the MAAC tournament, historically, this has been St. Peter's territory. Smith with a nice drive, can't get it to fall, follows it, can't get that one to go. And Harris saves it from going out of bounds. St. Peter's 21-7 in the history of the MAAC tournament. That is easily the best record of any program in this tournament. Fairfield, who we'll see a little bit later, has had a lot of success in this tournament as well. So has Loyola, but St. Peter's is clearly the class.
Well, they just, again, we've talked about the history, and you can't say enough for that tradition. It just breeds success.
How about that move by Dames with the baseline drive and the pretty back pass to Agueto? They can't convert and end up getting a traveling call, but Dames with a very nice creation there. Look at this move by the senior guard.
Wait, nice little hesitation there. Comes around, nobody cuts off the baseline, tries to get it inside to Agueto. Agueto not able to finish on that shot. But look at the aggression here on the offensive boards. They want the ball.
Turnovers, 8 for the Peahens, only 5 for Loyola. And yet they're down 15 there. Not shooting the ball well, 30% against this tough St. Peter's defense. That one's a little short. from Laura Slater.
Well, Howard,
and they're going one and out, too.
I was just going to say they need to do a much better job of attacking the offensive boards. The shot's going up, and there's only one person in the paint for the board.
8.5 left. As Rath hits the floor, bounces back up. Daniels, all net. Boy, her jump shots today have really, you can hear the swish on her jump shots.
Well, and that's exactly right. You know, I've been talking about extension a little bit and seeing the ball in, get that follow through, and you can see her, she's leaving that hand up there. Great extension on her shot and leaving it in. She's seeing the ball in with her hand, and that's what you have to do.
46-29. Smith tries to answer back, she cannot. Wilson knocks it out of bounds, and St. Peter's will get it back. Jennifer Mitchell and Jennifer Bongard check back in for Loyola. Smith and Wilson go to the bench. Cindy Anderson trying to figure out how to rally her team, down now 46-29. After 2 close regular season losses to St. Peter's, Loyola started falling behind, getting in a double-digit deficit late in this first half. And St. Peter's has just added to it here in the second half.
Well, this is where Loyola has to get down and play very aggressive defense. At this point in time, they don't have anything to lose. They have to go for broke. So they have to make sure that they're really stepping up. But they're playing a little tentative right now. They need to crash the offensive boards, shoot up in the passing lanes, try and get some steals without fouling, and at least make sure you are containing the ball.
St. Peter's looking to advance. Again, if they hold on, they'll meet either Fairfield or Siena in the women's championship game tomorrow. Foul off the ball on the Peahens, so Loyola will get possession back. And we are going to have ourselves a break with 7:47 left in the second half. Yolanda Daniels helping St. Peter's build their lead to 17 points. Daniels with 10. Pretty day shooting the basketball for that senior. 46-29 Peahens on the MAAC Television Network. Welcome back to the Pepsi Arena in Albany. Loyola and St. Peter's. Peahens leading at 46-29. Coming up later, we're going to see the Fairfield Stags in action against the Siena Saints. And if we're talking Fairfield basketball, we're talking about the MAAC Player of the Year, Gail Strumpf, who averaged a double-double this season, 20 points and 11 rebounds and 48% field goal percentage. The Player of the Year, Gail Strumpf, leading top seed Fairfield. Small World, a new internet sponsor of the MAAC, is the largest independent developer of online fantasy sports games. You can play Small World baseball, football, hoops, and hockey, all for free. And they'll have the best NCAA bracket game on the internet, Journey Through the Tourney, where you can sign up and compete against 50 friends and against the world. Small World is based in New York, and the company loves the spirit of competition that exists in our league. MAAC fans would love to play and compete in Journey Through the Tourney. If you want to find out more about Small World games, go to www.smallworld.com. Mike Grinelli, happy with what he's seen. It's been kind of a, this is going to sound strange, they were the second seed, the Peahens, but a tough season. He said, you know what, overall, I think our team could have played better than they did. And we're talking about a team that is a few minutes away from going to the MAAC championship game. Erica Rath, that is her first basket of the game. She's their leading scorer, averaging 12 a game, and St. Peter's has just taken her out of this game. So has foul trouble, for that matter.
Well, Rath did a nice job of sliding in the lane there, and she had a nice little turnaround jump hook there. You know, as far as Mike Grinelli is concerned, I see a little turnaround jumper there by Cromer on the block. You know, with Cromer, what a nice presence coming in off the bench. The conference MVP last year of the tournament, coming in off the bench as well this year. Not too bad of a player coming in.
Yeah, she had 14 points and 9 rebounds in the quarterfinal win over Manhattan. And Bongard hits the basket, and she'll get a chance to finish it off as Cromer gets her 4th foul. St. Peter's takes a 30-second timeout with 6:55 left in the second half, 48-33, as we see Leah Cromer take a walk over to the Peahens bench. And let's take a look at the Citizens Communications long distance shooter update. 3-point shooting. We haven't seen a lot of it in this game, but boy, Iris Beislein from Ryder had a fantastic season. Now, hey, you know what? We're talking about Gail Strumpf. You want to catch Fairfield later because as much as we were talking about Yolanda Daniels' shot, Holly Tapley is a fantastic shooter. When she's on, she can shoot threes from just about anywhere.
Well, that's why, you know, Fairfield's so difficult to play because they have such an inside-outside threat. And all 5 players fill the lane extremely well. They get up and down the floor very well.
You see Cheryl Click, wasn't too long ago, I think it was her freshman year, when Cheryl Click from Niagara had 7 threes in a MAAC tournament game. Niagara upset by this Loyola team yesterday in a season where they felt they could make a run maybe to the final for the 2nd time in school history. Instead, they were ousted in the quarters.
Tapley had 7 threes early on in the season, so she's very capable of knocking them down.
Yeah, pick your poison. We'll talk about that when we get to the Fairfield game. And it's not just those two either. There are other weapons on Diane Nolan's team that will certainly make for an interesting semifinal with Siena. Daniels on the baseline drive and off the glass and in.
Good strong move baseline as she really took the defender but came back and created that shot with her outside hand, being able to use the glass on that shot.
Well, she only averaged 6 points a game this season, but now she's hit double figures for the 4th straight game. Bongard follows her miss with a putback. She's got 7, but Loyola's still down 15 with 6:13 and counting left in this second half. Cohen with the strip, throws it back in bounds, and last touch by St. Peter's. Courtney Wicks tried to save it. Nice hustle by Shannon Cohen.
Well, Mike Grinelli with a very quick timeout just a couple of seconds ago. He didn't really like the way St. Peter's was responding to Loyola. Loyola really starting to pick the tempo up a little bit.
Slater had a 3 in and it bounced out. Now Nicole Dames will take her time and let the clock run a little bit. It's a 30-second shot clock, but they'll try and take off as much time as possible with the commanding lead at this point.
Well, that's where they're so smart. If they have the opportunity, they're going to take it. They're going to push the ball up the floor, but if not, take control of the ball. Control the tempo.
Daniels took her eye off the ball and lost that one. So we'll turn it back over to the Greyhounds. Dames, so smart, as you mentioned. She drove the baseline that time, bounced past it to Harris, and was immediately, as soon as she let go of the ball, immediately pointing and telling Harris, okay, pass it back to Daniels, pull it out, reset it. And of course, Daniels did not hang on to that pass. Loyola has the ball back.
Well, Dames has actually had 8 assists 3 different times this season.
Cohn under pressure. Slater's rebound, and Slater gets the basket. She's got 8 off the bench, 50-37. As Loyola creeps a little closer, they'll put on the pressure. They need to force some more turnovers. And Dames drives up court. Mitchell, the freshman, leans in and draws the foul. Just the 6th foul on Loyola.
Yeah, Loyola doing a much better job in their half-court offense. And when the shot's going up now, all the players are going to the basket. And that's exactly what they need to do. There's still plenty of time left in this game. It's a 13-point game, but if they create a lot of things and capitalize on St. Peter's mistakes, you never know what the outcome may be.
5 minutes to go. Yolanda Daniels going out at that last break. Take a little rest in this one. Courtney Wicks to the baseline. Doubled. Off the glass and in.
Well, Wicks coming back and responding very well, looking to pick up the tempo a little bit for St. Peter's.
Courtney Wicks, a junior from Wayne, New Jersey, has 8 points off the bench in this game. Bongard shot no good. Green comes out of the weak side with the basketball. 3-on-2, down the middle, drops and the foul.
Well, that's what happens when you don't stop the ball in the transition. First responsibility is you have to stop the ball. Second responsibility is to protect the basket. There's a long shot by Bongard. Lawanda Green going coast to coast here. Nobody stops the ball. Mitchell just a little late in getting turned around. See Green splitting the defenders, going right up. She's got herself a 3-point play.
Mitchell draws her 3rd foul. And after a timeout, Lawanda Green will be at the free throw line trying to add to her 18 points in this game. And she's extended the lead up to 17, 54-37 for St. Peter's and Mike Grinelli. MAAC tournament titles in 1982, 83, and 84. A little bit of a break then. He let the rest of the league have some fun. 92, 93, 97, 99. And it looks like they're headed to the 2000 title game, unless Cindy Anderson's team can come up with a miracle here.
That's one of the things, you know, when you try to create some of your own opportunities, which is exactly what you have to do, but what happens is when the tide and the tempo has been going in a team's favor, it's very difficult to turn that around without them shooting themselves in the foot. Right now, St. Peter's is playing very consistent. They're playing very steady. So even though Loyola is trying to create some opportunities, St. Peter's is not allowing them to take control of the game.
It's going to be very frustrating to play against St. Peter's. As Green misses the free throw, but Aguero chases the rebound down and gets called for traveling. You know, you say, well, boy, Loyola's only got 37 points, but remember that St. Peter's was number 2, barely behind Loyola in scoring defense. Long pass for Slater. She recovers it, can't put it in, and Aguero grabs the rebound. In fact, in a regular season game this season, St. Peter's held Manhattan to 37 points. So it's not out of the ordinary that St. Peter's can really put the clamps on.
Well, we talked early on, they have the number 1 and number 2 team in the conference defensively.
Dames on the drive with the basket. Nicole Dames showing the offense. That's her first field goal of the game. She has 6 points to go with her free throws. Mercy Aguero, by the way, 15 rebounds in the game today.
Dames really taking the opportunity of the ball reversal and nobody picking her up. St. Peter's is moving the ball extremely well.
Slater almost turned it over. Takes it back up near the sideline. 10 on the shot clock. Harris goes for the strip and got a piece of Jennifer Bongard on that.
Harris a little upset. She really wanted that steal. She tried to get away and release some of the contact to try and get in the passing lane.
4th foul on Felicia Harris, the 8th team foul. So it's a 1-and-1 for Jennifer Bongard. 5th-year senior out of Philadelphia. She redshirted in the 96-97 season, had compartment syndrome in her legs, and really has played through a lot of pain dealing with that injury over the years in her career in Baltimore. We have a stoppage because they couldn't find the basketball. That is kind of an integral part to the game.
Little disappearance. Yeah, that compartment syndrome it's very difficult. It's a funny injury from the standpoint that it's very delicate, and sometimes you can get into nerve damage as well with it. It's an actual swelling of the muscle right down the side of the outside of your leg, the bottom part of your leg. And you've got a sheath around the muscle there. When that gets inflamed, sometimes you can get into that nerve damage and can cause sometimes drop foot. There's a lot of things that can happen from it. So a very difficult injury to nurse.
And she's come through it and has had a fine career for Loyola. Bongard gets them both. She's got 9. 3:37 left in the second half. St. Peter's in control, 56-39. Back in a moment on the MAAC Television Network.
Distinguish yourself at Manhattan College, ranked among the top Northeastern colleges and universities by U.S. News and World Report. Join our caring campus community in Riverdale, New York, where the student-to-professor ratio is 15-1. Be part of an impressive group of Manhattan College alumni, ranked 3rd in the nation in corporate leadership. Whether your goal is business, arts, education, engineering, or science, we'll help you show the world what makes you unique. Call 1-800-MC2-EXCEL.
This game is brought to you in part by HSBC, your world of financial services. The Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of cola. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Budget. Get out of the ordinary with Budget. Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything. And by Bob Stores, great buys on brands you wear.
Welcome back to the Pepsi Arena. Howard Simon along with Tony Resch, Doug Sherman, and Glenn Concert coming up with men's action. Yeah, I'm just going to take a break on the St. Peter's bench, relax and enjoy this one. It's been that kind of a game for St. Peter's. They've been in control outside of the first, say, 8 to 10 minutes of this game. They had a 10-point lead at halftime, and it's now 17 with about 3.5 minutes to go. You look at LaWanda Green and Mercy Aguero. What a combination they've been. Aguero adding to her point total there. She's done it rebounding, and now a layup inside. Green knocks the ball away, but Cohen picks it up.
They're definitely using their experience today. Very controlled. Playing very much in control of this game and really taking the flow. And, you know, it really starts with Dame Dames, but the other thing is Luana Green stepping up. Great combinations they have. Each one really stepping up and taking their own part and their own responsibility.
You know, we talked about balance. It's not a one-person, two-person team, even though we just focused on Green and Agueto. It really is balanced. I mean, Green's averages 13 points a game. You have most of this team between 6 and 13 points in terms of how they contribute offensively. And you look at Daniels has hit shots. Look what Dames has done. Dickinson comes off the bench. He's a spark. Cromer, Wicks. There are just so many options that Mike Grinelli has. I don't want to say interchangeable parts, but certainly he's got versatility.
Well, one of their goals is to win the tournament, but the other goal is to go to the NCAA tournament. And in order for them to be able to advance, which they can because they have great potential, you can see just the aggression right there. The two of them, Wicks and Agueto, going after the ball. But you have that combination. You need the combination if you want to advance anywhere in the NCAA tournament to, make your mark. And you're never going to be able to do it. You may get through the regular season, but you're never going to do it with one or two players.
Smith to the basket, can't get that one to fall. And a rebounding foul underneath on Loyola. You know, and every player that comes into St. Peter's, you also have the pressure of having to live up, perform to the reputation that St. Peter's has. I mean, we've talked about all the trips to the tournament finals and the NCAA tournaments. Loyola's had a pretty good history, too, with Patty Coyle and now Cindy Anderson. But when Mike Grinelli brings in every recruiting class, they know what's been done before them at St. Peter's, and they have to live up to it.
Well, and that's why they choose to go there. I mean, it's a credit to him, the fact that you have two transfers in, Luana Green and Courtney Wicks, coming in from Big Ten schools. They could choose to go anywhere they want, but they chose to go there, and they do that because of his experience and what he brings to the university and the program itself.
All right, let's check out the Chase MAAC Women's Rookies of the Week. And Alicia Duesis of Marist was the most recent Rookie of the Week, averaging 16 points, just over, 4 rebounds, and shooting 56% from the field. The Chase MAAC Rookie of the Week brought to you by Chase Manhattan Bank. The right relationship is everything. And we've seen some pretty talented freshmen this season. Look at some of the notes we get here to make the media, look like we know what we're talking about. MAAC does a great job putting all their stats together. We're going to see Shireen Isadora, who was the co-MAAC Rookie of the Year tonight with Fairfield. We talked about options besides Strumpf and Tapley. Isadora's had a phenomenal first year for Diane Nolan. Dickinson follows her miss and gets fouled, and she's headed back to the free throw line.
Isadora is a real pleasure to watch. Unbelievable athlete, but the thing that really impresses me about her is she has such great composure as a freshman, but she's very quick off the dribble.
And I tell you what, Siena, we talked about Loyola changing their lineup in December and going with freshmen. Gina Castelli did the same thing. She put a couple of freshmen in the lineup, Gunta Basco and Erica Anderson. Both have played very well for her, and they are not your, quote, typical freshman. They play like a junior or a senior would at this time of year, and I think we'll be impressed by what we see from them this afternoon against Fairfield.
Well, again, and that's how you build your programs, but you have to give credit to these coaches. These coaches are so smart. They're not staying with the upperclassmen or whatever. They are giving everybody experience, and they're going with what's working. But the flip side, you start the freshmen, look what you have coming in off the bench.
Yeah, that's what Cindy Anderson figured. I'll get the freshmen in. I have some maturity and experience off the bench. And Gina Castelli has the same thing. And the freshmen certainly brought energy to the program.
Well, the other thing is you talk about the season really being in two parts. By the time you get around January, February, you're no longer a freshman anymore.
Green underneath is blocked by Erica Rath. They come back the other way. Sue Porter back defensively on the 3-on-1. Massey to Bongard, too hard. It is kept alive by Loyola. Desart Mager getting the rebound. Amy Desart Mager in there, number 25. And now we have a whistle on the play. There you see Amy. And it'll be Loyola basketball. Massey to put it in on the baseline. Sue Porter in the game, number 3 for St. Peter's, a sophomore from Doylestown, Ohio. Bongard for 2. It's short. Porter grabs the rebound.
Bongard again, still just a little bit short on that shot. She's had some opportunities, just not able to knock them down.
Dickinson into the paint, throws up the shot, draws the foul. And Beth Dickinson will be back at the free throw line.
Well, the other thing is, Howard, you talk about the season actually being in two parts. When you hit January, February, you're no longer a freshman. But the other thing is when you hit tournament time, it's a completely different story because those players have never experienced it before. You can see great penetration by Dickinson right there going up. She's able to draw the foul, but again, putting her head down and attacking Loyola's defense.
Well, and we asked Mike Cornelli about Beth Dickinson. Here's a freshman in her first tournament. As Mike Cornelli gets some more subs in the game, Danielle Reed out of Pensacola, New Jersey, number 4, checks in. He said, you know what? She doesn't know fear. She'd come out, she'd run through the wall if I asked her to run through the wall. And sometimes you're like, freshmen don't know enough to be afraid at MAAC tournament games. They just don't understand it, so they play nice and level-headed sometimes. It's hard to figure out if you're a coach. And then maybe your upperclassmen, your seniors get nervous because this could be their last game every time they take the court.
Well, you can tell they've had great leadership because these freshmen are coming in playing, very hard. Great penetration there by Baumgart. She was able to get it right off the glass.
62-41 St. Peter's, under 90 seconds left in this one. Cromer with the offensive board, fouled by Baumgart, and she'll go to the line. No surprise about today's Pepsi player of the game. It is LaWanda Green from the St. Peter's Peahens. 18 points, 7 rebounds, 8 of 18. She really was the spark in the first half. There you see LaWanda. And she really got this team going offensively. The senior from the Bronx, who was first-team All-MAAC this season, the player of the game, Pepsi, the joy of Cola. Cromer cashes one at the foul line, and she'll get another.
Well, and that's what you need. You need your seniors to step up, your upperclassmen, use that experience, and lead everybody else to follow from there. And it kind of takes the edge off. If you're relying on freshmen to win, it's not always going to happen.
Kyra Massey, the far side, back to Desiree Peterkin. Baumgart with it. She's going to try the 3, and they'll leave it short. It's been a tough afternoon, tough morning for Jennifer Baumgart. She has 11 points, but she has not really been able to get her shot go on a consistent basis. St. Peter's has done a nice job. Carbone hits the basket of really forcing Baumgart away. She can hit the 3, though, but it's been a tough day shooting for her. That one is short, and out of bounds it goes, and a foul is called, and we're coming back the other way for St. Peter's.
Well, Howard, going back to the freshmen playing, that's where it's going to pay dividends for these coaches by giving them that experience. Because you figure in another year, another 2, they're going to be in the same situation as your LaWanda Green and a Ghetto right now. They're leading by example, doing an excellent job.
Well, St. Peter's will sit back, relax, then they'll get a chance to watch Fairfield and Siena in action this afternoon and figure out who they'll play for the MAAC championship on Sunday and the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Of course, we'll have a couple of men's quarterfinals coming up next. It's going to be Marist and Niagara. And it'll be interesting as the host team, Siena, takes the court against Canisius, the 8th seed in the men's bracket. Siena, the top seed. That's just 3 games, folks. We still have 3 more after that here in Albany today as Reed misses them both. But Dickinson grabs the rebound, then takes steps. We'll have the women's semifinal, Fairfield and Siena, and then the 2 men's quarterfinals tonight. Ryder and Iona. And the last game of the day might be the wildest game of the day, Fairfield and Manhattan, in terms of up and down play and what might be a pretty high-scoring affair. Amy Desart-Mager for Loyola as the clock ticking near 30 seconds left in this one. Peterkin, bounce pass inside. Basket, get that one to fall. Cromer with the rebound to Reed. 1-on-1, draws the foul.
Well,
so
that was,
goes back to the free
yeah,
throw.
that was good defense by Massey there. And, Loyola doesn't have anything to be ashamed about. Great effort today. They did an outstanding job. Unfortunately for Baumgart, it's her last opportunity here playing for Loyola. Some of the other players have the chance to come back next year, but what a great experience for her. She's had a great career. And, even more importantly, you can see this team gelling. For the most part, Cindy really in her first year putting in and implementing her chemistry, her philosophy to the players. And so you have that adjustment as well as having the addition of new players.
Well, I think Mike Cornelli's going to have Danielle Reed work on free throws before tomorrow's game. All tied up with 13 seconds to go. The arrow will favor the Greyhounds of Loyola.
Well, as you know, free throws can cost you.
Well, neither one of these teams is very good at shooting free throws either. They're both in the bottom third of the league. And you wonder at some point if that's going to haunt you. But hey, if you don't play close games, you don't have to worry about it.
Well, that's why they have to crash the board so hard. Give themselves some other opportunities, and they know it. That's where they play, with their strengths.
So St. Peter's is headed to the MAAC tournament final once again. 66-41 is the final score as the Peahens knock out the Loyola Greyhounds. St. Peter's improves to 22-7 overall. After a 14-4 regular season, they are now 2-0 in the MAAC tournament. Back to wrap this one up in a moment on the MAAC Television Network. Welcome back to the Pepsi Arena in Albany, New York. We have one half of the bracket complete as far as the MAAC women's title game. We know the second seed, St. Peter's Peahens, will be there. 66-41 the final over the sixth seed Loyola Greyhounds, and just too much defense and strong play from St. Peter's, so they have moved along. And we're going to move along and check in with Doug Sherman, who's working the broadcast as well, and he's got the victorious head coach and today's player of the game. Doug?
All right, thank you, Howard. Coach Grinelli, LaWanda Green. Once again, St. Peter's makes it to the championship of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference postseason tournament. Seems like an annual rite of passage. This game was close early, but in that first half, midway through, you guys started to assert yourselves.
I thought we did a good job both offensively and defensively, and I thought our defense especially was very, very strong. I think LaWanda took over offensively for us when we needed a little bit of a lift. But I thought overall, from the first play to the last, that we got something out of everybody.
You have a lot of weapons. Mercy Aghetto playing with a bad hand, but she's able to produce. Her game doesn't seem to be impacted by that.
Well, since she doesn't know how to shoot, the bad hand doesn't affect it, you know. Yeah, we rely on her for defense and for rebounding. And she's, with LaWanda, are two of our senior leaders, and we expect that from her.
You're not surprised by the way this has gone so far. Because of your senior leadership and the pedigree that you have, you expect to get this far.
Well, we expect to win every game we play, and we thought our chances were good. But we don't go in with the idea that it's an automatic that we're going to win the game. We know we won after the final whistle's over.
Coach, can you handicap for me the second women's semifinal with Siena and Fairfield coming up?
Absolutely not.
And I won't ask you who you'd rather play because I know it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
All right, thank you, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you,
all right, we'll bring in LaWanda, and congratulations for you. This is a feeling you folks had last year out in Buffalo. You made it to the championship game. What are the thoughts now after making it back again this year?
Well, it feels good. You know, Loyola played us twice hard each game we played. And, you know, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. You know, we came out, we played strong, we fought through the whole way. I think we were up by like 10 maybe at halftime. Then they came out with a little surge. So one thing about the MAAC conference is it's so competitive. You just got to keep fighting. No one ever knows who's going to win until the final horn goes off. I'm just glad God gave us the strength to come out here and keep playing well. I guess our morning practices help us. We hate getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but when you have to play a 9:15 game, it really helps. And we're up, we're energized, so that's a real big part of it.
What was different for you guys having to get up and play so early? Because, I mean, the early wake-up call, you got to get going early.
Well, actually, I missed my breakfast call. It was at 6 o'clock, but I didn't get down there until 6:30, so I don't know. But, you know, it's different, and you want to really win so you can have the whole day to yourself to play hard and play strong. So if you give all you have in the morning, later on you can party.
Well, congratulations on making it to the finals. Good luck tomorrow, LaWanda. Okay, that's LaWanda Green, our star of the game. St. Peter's once again, Howard, back in the MAAC championship game.
All right, Doug, thank you very much. Yeah, defense. Loyola shoots 26%. The boards, St. Peter's out rebounds them by, 17? And how about the bench, too? 23 bench points. All of that points to an easy St. Peter's win.
Well, that's exactly right. You had Dickinson come in. You had Cromer come in. What great depth coming in. And that, again, we've talked about it through the whole game. What experience that you need going into the tournament, as well as them trying to prepare for the postseason tournament, going in and hopefully getting a bit to the NCAAs.
So St. Peter's beats Manhattan in the quarterfinals and Loyola in the semifinals. Up next, even though Mike Grinelli didn't want to scout that game for us, Fairfield and Siena in the women's semifinal this afternoon. And let's take a look at the women's brackets. Now, again, the favored team will be Fairfield. They were the top seed in the regular season. They beat Siena a couple times, but they're on Siena's home floor. And Siena will take on Fairfield again around 5 o'clock or so this afternoon. And then the winners will meet tomorrow and play for that automatic bid in the NCAA tournament. Should be an interesting matchup. And we're not done. We'll be back here with the women's game a little bit later on. We still have men's basketball to come. Niagara and Marist are getting ready for a quarterfinal matchup. Stick with us on the MAAC Television Network.
Back at the Pepsi Arena in Albany between games of our 2000 MAAC basketball tournament. We've got men's quarterfinal action coming up in just a few minutes. The women's semis, the first one just finished up. St. Peter's has reached the championship game. We'll take a break and come back to Albany. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. Back in Albany once again at the 2000 HSBC MAAC basketball tournament. We're between games. We just had our first women's semifinal wrap up with St. Peter's advancing onto the championship game, and we've got the men's quarterfinal between Niagara and Marist coming up in just a moment. At this time, we'd like to start with the special guest. Howard?
All right, Doug, we are here with Tim Rubery from HSBC. They've had a great relationship with the MAAC over the years. Let's start there, Tim. It really has been a great relationship between HSBC and the conference.
Oh, it has been. And between doing the tournament here and back at our headquarters city in Buffalo, we've generated a lot of support. The MAAC players are all about teamwork and commitment, and that's something that is shared with the 15,000 employees at HSBC.
What kind of benefits in the years in Buffalo and Albany that you've been involved have you seen in this relationship?
Well, the obvious one is, just being involved with this tournament and the great impact it has on the cities that host it and the fans and sharing that with our employees and customers. But beyond that, HSBC is truly committed to education. And, to me, this is one of the conferences that has the top student athletes in the country, so it's a great participation in that respect.
We were just talking in the break, there's always new technologies, new things going on in business, and I'm sure HSBC is also working on some new ideas.
Well, this has been a busy year since the last MAAC tournament, Howard. We changed our name, reflecting our relationship of 20 years with the HSBC group. We've merged with the Republic Bank in New York and now have the largest branch network in New York State. And we're just very focused now on trying to provide our customers with 100% of their financial service need. It's an exciting time to be in this business.
And you obviously love basketball. You get to see all these games.
This is my favorite weekend. It doesn't get any better than this.
Tim, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Howard.
Tim Rubery joining us from HSBC. Back with more in a moment from the Pepsi Arena on the MAAC Television Network.
We're back in Albany at the MAAC basketball tournament. Men's quarterfinal action coming up in just a few minutes. Marist against Niagara. And welcome back, everybody. Doug Sherman with you, and so glad you could join us here. We've got 4 men's basketball games coming up throughout the rest of the day. We'll be on the air probably until midnight. Glad you could be here. And one of the folks most happy about having this tournament back here in Albany for the 9th time is the mayor of Albany, Jerry Jennings. First of all, thanks for joining us. And this tournament, 9 times going. This is a big thing for the city of Albany to be here.
It really is. It's for any city. And, this Pepsi Arena is a first-class facility, and people appreciate it. All I hear are positive comments about from the teams and the fans when it comes here. So we're looking forward to being the host on a regular basis, hopefully.
Right. Well, contractually, the current contract, I believe this is the last year that it's going to be in Albany. Contractually, what do you see down the road in the next few years?
Well, we have to remain competitive when it comes to reaching out to the conference and saying, look, we do it best here. The location is the best for everyone. It's a central location. We do well with fan support here in the region. And if we have a steady tournament that people learn to expect to be here, it'll only increase fan attendance.
For annual events in the city of Albany, this is really one of the crown jewels for your town.
It is. It's one that we all look forward to, especially when our teams are going well here. The men and women's team from Siena are great teams, but it's going to be a very competitive tournament for all of us.
And finally, you're a newlywed. How's married life going for you?
It's great. I got a big smile. I have a nice tan. I just came back from a nice vacation, so I'm ready to play if they need us.
And I can guess who you're going to be rooting for here this afternoon.
I think Siena's my favorite, yes.
I would imagine so. Loudonville's only a couple of miles outside of the city limits.
It's in the city as far as I'm concerned. They do a lot for the city, and it's a great program. They deserve a lot of credit up there.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here, Mayor Jennings from the city of Albany.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Okay, we'll be back with much more from the Pepsi Arena here in Albany. MAAC Basketball Day, Super Saturday on the MAAC Television Network. Thank you. Back in Albany, MAAC tournament action, men's quarterfinals, the first of 4 coming up in just a short period of time. We've got Marist and Niagara in just a couple of minutes. And we welcome into our broadcast team, Glenn Consor. Glad you could make it here for the men's action here today. Great 4 games. We could have 4 fantastic competitive games coming
Well,
up.
the question tonight's going to be who's going to be the unexpected team. Last year it was St. Peter's, came in with a very low seed, went to the final game. A lot of people, there's a buzz around Albany right now. Could it be Ryder? Could it be Canisius? And Canisius plays, of course, the leading team, Siena, which is a very strong team. the element of the unknown is always the magical and mystical moment here in the MAAC tournament.
Meanwhile, the game we've got coming up in just a moment, the Marist Red Foxes, along with Iona and Siena, the hottest team in the conference.
Well, absolutely. Marist right now is playing great basketball because they're relying on the hottest player in the MAAC, Thomas Kenny, to provide some inside strength. He's a very strong player, a dominant player, had 25 points and 12 rebounds against Siena, the upset against Siena.
Okay, we're getting close to tip-off. When we come back, we'll have the starting lineups. We'll set the whole matchup up for you between the Purple Eagles and the Red Foxes. You're watching the MAAC Television Network.